What's happening, guys? It's Phil here. I'm actually not at my personal gym right now. I'm here at Freezma's personal gym in the Gold Coast. I thought I'd fly up to catch up with this guy. He's a cool cat. We're going to have a chat. So make sure you guys stick around. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click that little ding-dong notification bell to make sure you're notified every time one of my videos comes up. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. So, like I said, we're here at Freezma's personal gym. We're going to have a chit-chat. This guy goes way back in the balls deep in the OG aesthetics kind of era. This guy was inspired by Greg Plitt.
I was like just behind you guys.
You was there, bro.
I was just behind it, mate. Because like, I used to look at you guys like going to festivals and shit, and that inspired me. So I wasn't there. I was probably a couple of years, 1 to 2 years behind.
You can call it a couple of years behind, but when you group it all together, it's the same era. It's the same era. It's the same era. Like when people think OG aesthetics, they think yourself. They think Chest Bra, Bobo Limp, Johnny Starr, all those guys, Robbie Frame. This is like OG aesthetics from like the MISC forum days, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Back when...
Was that on bodybuilding.com?
Bodybuilding.com, man. Were you on that? Sure you were.
Yeah, I was, yeah. I wasn't like real fucking full on into it like some guys, but like I was aware of it,
There was times when, no joke, after work, the first thing I do is go home and just jump on the forums.
I
was like every day trawling through and shit. Joseph Rakic was from back in the days.
He was pretty heavy in there, mate.
He was, dude. He's a cool cat too, man. Like I remember this one time, I posted something in the forums and I was getting ripped. Like dudes were like, oh look at this, there's no mercy in those forums. Oh look at this fucking bald manlet, like fucking get a life, like this, that. And I remember Joseph Rakic jumping in on the forums and I didn't even know who he was, and he was like, hey, don't worry, man. Like, if people are talking shit about you, it means you're doing a good thing. And that stuck with me. You know what I mean? So, it's good to have you on my channel, man. I feel like this is a long overdue catch up. This is one of those conversations I feel like a lot of people are going to dig, and we've got a lot to flesh out. So, why don't we start from the beginning?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, to anyone who's watching this, might be some of Phil's audience if you don't know who I am. My name's Freezma. I'm from New Zealand. I've been living here in Australia for like 6 or 7 years now. I did kind of grow through that first intermediary scene of social media and fitness. And I was lucky enough to be into fitness so that by the time it became popular and mainstream, I'd already built a good physique so that people were, I was in a good spot to like get attention and be able to monetize and build a career, I guess, in those early stages. Because, everything's timing as well, like people will be like, oh, I want to get into this. But like, if you're trying to get, I was training, and probably you as well, with training before it was popularized, before it was normal. So I've been doing that 10 years training by myself, where everyone thought I was just a weird guy that was obsessed with, I was like the weirdo. So all of a sudden there's spotlight on it. It's cool. Everyone wants to be in shape. He's the guy, but it's like, you didn't see what was before that. You know what I mean? And you can't just be like, want what I have now without wanting to go through that,
I can definitely resonate with that, man. I feel like there was always that time at the start when I was training and no one in my group of friends was training. So, and like I had that, I fell in love with it. So when you fall in love with it, now you're doing it all the time. And I was full into it, and I was buying magazines.
It's a bit more isolating from like your usual friend group. I was the same with my friends. Still have my friends, but like no one else could relate.
Yeah, and you're that guy in the group that's like, oh, he's obsessed with the gym, or he's all about those protein shakes and he drinks all those powders and stuff. Like, I was definitely that guy in the group as well, which was at the time, I enjoyed doing it to the point where I didn't care what they thought. A good question is, how did we originally meet? And I got asked that question on the way in, and I was like, I don't think we've actually formally met formally, but I think we've just known of each other through the bodybuilding scene. And when I say bodybuilding, obviously not, IFBB pro bodybuilding scene, but more like the subculture of the subculture, which is, the aesthetic era days, the MISC forum days, the social media at its infancy stage. And we never really formally met, we just knew of each other. And I feel like there was instantly, I felt like I had some things related to you, I guess. I vibed with you, even though I couldn't really put my finger on it at the time. I feel like there was something that I kind of was on the same, same wavelength as you, same vibe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Yeah, so, I mean, how would you, I guess a few of those planes would be, we're both really into Greg Plitt. You know, we both came out of like the Ziz kind of era. He was a big kind of influence for me. Not only was it a good friend of mine, but I was lucky enough to meet him and hang out with him and build that friendship. How did you get in the scene, man? Like, how did you get into lifting and stuff?
Well, see, for you, I want to turn that right back around, Phil, and I want to ask you something. But yeah, were you right into training like from a young age, or were you into it when you were in your late teens?
Dude, later than that. I feel like I was I got introduced to the first time I walked into a gym would have been 19. And the only reason I stepped foot in the gym was because I was hanging out with some Lebo mates and they went to the gym and they were like, Phil, come train with us. We've got a mate that's selling his membership for real cheap and you can come train with us. So because I was hanging out with them a lot, I was like, cool. It was more of a peer, I don't want to say peer pressure, but it was what they were doing and I wanted to belong to something, which I think is an important theme when it comes to this type of stuff, is wanting to belong. I wanted to belong to this to this group. So I was like, yeah, cool. So I stepped foot in the gym at 19. That membership that I bought eventually ran out and I stopped going. Fast forward to like maybe 21, 22, that's when I really kind of got back into it, or was really introduced to it properly, because I was like really unfit, really unhealthy. Was going to the doctor and he was like, you know, doing blood tests saying, all these things are not good on you, you need to get healthy. So it was like the initial health scare. And then I threw myself into it at the age of 21, 22.
So your initial goals weren't even to build a good physique?
No.
No, you're just trying to get healthy?
Get healthy. Didn't really know what I was doing.
How long before you like met Ziz and stuff?
How long was I training before I met them?
Yeah.
Well, I met him when I was like maybe 27.
So you built a bit of a physique yourself by that point?
Oh yeah, by that point I'd been lifting for a while by myself. I had the foundations there. I wasn't always shredded, but when I met him initially, I was like probably the leanest I've ever been. So there was definitely a lifting life before the aesthetics crew.
Interesting. For me, I was like 13 when I got on the gym.
Wow. Dude, 13. I was like playing fucking PlayStation 1 when I was 13.
And there was no, at that point, I don't think, the internet existed, but there was nothing till I was about 19 of when people like Ziz and stuff kind of popped up.
Wow.
So before that, it was really weird. Like me being in there at 13 was just strange.
What would compel a 13-year-old to be like, I want to go to the gym and lift weights?
I think if I'm really to think about it, I reckon Dragon Ball Z had an impact because I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan growing up.
Yeah, wow.
And I guess you're like, I don't know, I was just so into that. Like subconsciously, right? They were pretty stacked, Dragon Ball Z dudes,
subconsciously and physically, like they're all like Jack cartoon characters.
Literally. So I reckon that might have. But then again, I got friends that were all right into Dragon Ball Z too, but they didn't start training. So. But I think for me as well, I don't know, mate. I don't know if I liked being skinny. I just felt like I was like one of those lankier kids, like, and I just felt, I don't know,
I need to put something on.
I don't know, I felt small compared to people and stuff. I didn't like that.
It's funny because for me, the initial reason was health. And then I had really no idea what I was doing. Like I lifted a few years ago with Lebo mates and they taught me kind of basic compound stuff. But I didn't know what I was doing then. When I got into the gym again, I was like, I just want to get fit. And I didn't know what I was doing. So, and naturally you look for education somewhere. We didn't, internet wasn't big back then. So I started, stocking up on men's health magazines, fitness magazines. The cover where it was like, that looks somewhat attainable. Wasn't the hardcore bodybuilding stuff yet. So I was buying all these magazines and I remember just looking up like nutrition information in these magazines, like how to make, what's better options food-wise and stuff like that. I remember turning to a page and there was a guy, it was just like a close-up shot of his abs. The whole page was just this torso area. And I was looking at this guy's abs and I was like, that looks sick. I was like, you know what? I want that. I want that. I had no idea how to attain that. But I figured, I'm just going to eat real healthy from what I thought was healthy at the time, like low-fat yogurts and chicken sandwiches and shit. And I'm just going to start running every night before I go to bed. So I figured if I run around the block for an hour every night, that's 7 hours a week. That's like doing a marathon a week. Now, surely if I do a marathon a week, my body would look decent.
Yeah.
It would have to change,
Yeah.
right?
Did it change?
It did. So
Yeah.
I did that, and I was just a cardio bunny. And I got really, really lean. And I probably throw up some photos of me from back then because I was like heap skinny. You could see the abs, but not as much muscle as I have now. But at some point, I was like, well, I want to put on some more muscle. So the magazine started getting a little bit more hardcore and hardcore. So I started buying the Muscle and Fitness, and then there was Flex, and then there was Muscular Development, and it just kind of snowballed into bodybuilding somehow. And obviously within there, I signed back up to the gym and I started hitting the weights again. So it kind of snowballed. It's weird how that happens, eh?
Yeah.
You'd be into something like cars, and then you start tinkering with your own car. Next thing you know, you start watching, Fast and Furious, and then now you're into Indy cars, and now you're into Formula One, which is like the epitome of like car stuff, right?
That's a good little analogy there.
And you can have that one for free, Anyway,
I like that.
So
it's like that, with everything. There's just levels to it,
It just you keep going up and up until it just gets more extreme.
Yeah.
So, that's my kind of journey. How did you go from? Okay, these Dragon Balls, you're right, these levels, right? So there's Dragon Ball Z that got you kind of into the gym, you'd say. How has your journey navigated from there to where it is now? Because it's not linear, right? You weren't always like, started the gym and I just progressively got better. There's ups and downs to this shit. Yeah. So tell us about some of your downs.
So,
and stuff.
I mean, for sure. I mean, for me, you want to hear about the downs, eh?
Yeah. Give us the hard shit, bro.
I'm trying to think. Like, I always felt when I was younger, I was not good at shit. Like, I wanted to be good at shit, like sports and stuff like that. But I was never good at anything. So I found rowing, which was my first. I don't know. Wow. I just had someone say, "Hey, come to the rowing trials this weekend. Come do it." And like I was like, "Oh, it's probably good. I'm not playing a sport because I think rowing was over summer, and I didn't really have a summer sport. Like I didn't play cricket and stuff like that. Like I had winter sports. I liked hockey.
Sure. Wow.
One of those weird ones.
Like not ice hockey.
Just hockey, bro.
So tell us about your journey.
It's definitely been ups and downs again. Like it's crazy now because I'm in a spot where I've the life experience I had, there was no manual for it. It was real uncharted territory. Now like people understand social media, how you can model a business off the back end of it, and like you can go into it with a plan, or like it's a lot more like planned.
Yep.
Really, like the way I was doing it was there was nothing in front of us to model off that was just really new.
Yeah.
So it kind of as well, because I didn't have a life before that, it was kind of a bit damaging because my only perspective was all this new uncharted territory that I had no like manual for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So like when things were going great, I didn't have much perspective of like stuff that I could have been doing to
make it even better,
be a lot more long term about it. A lot of people I had a shitty support system around me when things took off, which they did. There was a point where shit was just going crazy with like gym stees and stuff. You know, Steve Cook was wearing it over in the States, and
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, man. Like, bro, he came up to me at the NZ Fitness Expo in like 2013 or some shit. And he was like, and I knew who the fuck he was and everything. And I saw him coming over to the booth, and I was talking to someone, and someone's like, "Bro, Steve Cook's looking at all your singlets over there." I was like, "Well, fuck." And then I was like, I'm just in my head, I need to give him some gym steed. And then he comes up and he's like, "Bro, I like all your singlets, man.
I like the accent too.
I'm about to film some videos in the States. Would you let me have some singlets if I wear them in my bodybuilding.com vids?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was about to give you everything for free in the store, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, he's like trying to give me a trade-off. Like, "I'll do this if you give me this." I'm like, "Bro, just have some singlets, man. Like, you're Steve Cook, bro. It's so good." And that, like, he's a real OG as well. Like, from that other side of things, we were like down in Australia, New Zealand.
He was more commercial, kind of.
He was like that real commercial kind of dude, eh?
I didn't know he wore your stuff, man. That's
cool.
That's the coolest compliment.
The stringers with the pockets on them, which was like that's what was Jim Caesar's first big thing. Like we were selling some units. Like I'm sure Steve like fucking definitely helped a lot. Yeah, but we were like, those were just popular as fuck. Like that's why he wanted them in the first place, because he knew they were fucking sick. It was kind of like that product on the edge of like, you know, the market of like leading it, of something new, something cool. Like, so that like launched Gymstees to a point of like that product alone. Like I just had a lot of success on that. And And because I had hit such a banger, I knew it was going to be successful because I had that confidence in myself and I just knew it myself. But when it did take off, I had no perspective on like what to do with it. I didn't capitalize.
What do you do now?
Yeah, what do I do now? Like I didn't have good structure in my business. I didn't have a good head on my shoulders. I just spent money on real dumb shit. Like if I made money, I had to find a way to spend it.
Yeah, wow.
I wasn't even like, what can I save for 2 months with this so I can get this? It was like now what can I buy this week? Like it was so stupid and short term.
Yeah, I've been there.
And that was from a place of just not having any like money ever. You know, I never could buy like a $500 watch to me was really exciting.
Yeah.
So the fact I could never buy that and then I could, like I'll just buy one. And then the next week I got more income and but like it was real dumb.
Yeah.
It was real fucking dumb.
No, I feel that, man. And I think with a lot of people can relate to that. Because not everybody grows up with financial literacy because either your parents are poor or they weren't around, and that never really got passed down to you.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And again, like I had people in my ear, like people I would have loved to have been like, hey, how can we develop this with you? It was like, oh, that's something that's not going to last long. Like that was the feedback I was getting from people. Like, so. Yeah, it's important. It makes you realize it's important who you surround yourself with.
Dude, you hear these cliches all the time. Like, you know, your network is your net worth and all this shit. And it's a cool it sounds cool. But when you dig deep into half these like sayings and quotes and stuff, man, there's meaning behind them. There's definitely like, there's something behind a lot of them. And a lot of people just seem to brush those things off. Yeah. But I definitely think, you know, the people that you surround yourself with, you become, you know, what they are. Mm-hmm. So if you're into, if you're not into cars at all, then all of a sudden you jump into a group of 5 guys and they're into Honda Civics, I fucking guarantee you, man, you're going to be the 6th guy that's into Honda Civics. But if you're hanging out with guys that are into Lambos, you're going to be the 6th guy. And there's a big difference between a guy that's gunning for a Lambo than a guy that's trying to do up his mum's Honda Civic. Like there's 2 different mindsets going on there. So what type of crowd do you want to hang out with is what I guess we can ask, you know, if you're watching this, like you really need to take note of the audience that you put around you, your support around you, your network around you, because you know your mindset's contagious, man. You hang out with fucking 6 gronks, you're going to be the 7th gronk. I guarantee you, man. And their standards become your standards.
It can be hard sometimes when you don't have good people around you, but I think your best bet is to just pull away from, if they're the wrong people, just pull away and get some good shit in your ears, like some podcasts with like people. I heard this thing the other day. It's like negative thoughts versus positive thoughts. A negative thought is like 40 times stronger than like a positive thought. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like realistically in our lives, if we want to be successful, we have to offset every negative thing that someone's given us, every piece of negative energy we've felt off someone else's vibe. We have to try offset the fuck out of that. And it's not a one-to-one with positive. It's like
it's 40.
You've got to have a lot more positive than you've got those couple of negative things that you encounter, you know?
Totally. And the thing is, like, trying to pull yourself away from these types of people is not easy, because when that's all you've known and that's your comfort zone, like we all know how difficult it is to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. So when you try and pull away from this group, you know, isolating yourself or being on your own for that first initial, like when you leave them, that's so hard, man. That's so hard. And your natural instinct is to go back to your comfort zone, back to hanging out with them. Oh yeah, now I feel like I belong, and now I'm comfortable and I'm warm and fuzzy, and like that's where you fuck yourself. That's where I think that's where you fuck yourself. You got to separate from that negative tribe, and you got to find yourself a new tribe. That's what it is, and that's where I think a lot of people get stuck. I guess, you know, if there's one thing you can take from that kind of conversation is it's hard, but you know, there's always that fruit, that good, I guess, energy somewhere else that you should be leeching off. You know what I mean?
Even if it's some random guy, you need to put a podcast in your ears while you go for a walk in the park every day, and just like always have. Do you know Andy Friscella? Having his shit in my ear, it's the shit I need to hear that I always try not to hear from someone that I know his intentions are good. I know he's been through shit. I know he's built shit, and he keeps it real. Yeah. And he'll tell me the shit like
there's no motive with him
he's that influence in my head. Everything he says, I'm like, for me, I grew up without a dad, like, so I've never had that fatherly figure. So like I've never had a guy like for me, that's kind of what it is in my head, because I don't have that energy. So I'm getting that from some random guy who don't know I exist across the world. But like,
don't say it like that.
You know what I mean?
100% I know what you mean. I'm going to tell you why I can relate to that, because I never grew up without a dad either.
Yeah.
So for me, my wife asked me the other day, like, do you think growing up without an actual father figure has affected you? And I was like, yes, it has, because basically I didn't know what a father figure was, but naturally I searched for it. So I found guys like Andy Friscella, like Tony Robbins, like Les Brown, like all these motivational speakers like Kerwin Ray even. And you kind of start building in your mind ultimately what you want to be as a dad, or what you want to be as a man. And you get values of these guys and you mimic these guys. So I definitely feel like not having a father figure, there's pros and cons, because when you fall down, you have no one to say, hey, dude, come on, get back up. Go this way, this is the way. And you have no one there to kind of help you navigate. And you make a lot of the mistakes yourself. And you fuck up a lot on your own, and it's on you because you never really knew which direction to go in. But you learn and you find values and beliefs that you admire and that you respect from other men out there that are putting out the good message, whether it's through a podcast. Like MFCEO, dude, there must have been like 2 years straight where every day Andy Friscella was in my ears. That was like, just like his values of, winning, and you don't get the reward unless you win. It's not, he doesn't believe in everybody gets a participation award. And that's cool, man.
I like that shit.
I like that shit.
It's a shit, because you always got so many people in your ears that are like, oh, no, it's all good. You're all good like this. And that's why you stay here.
How can you ever better yourself when everyone's commending you on the mediocre job you did?
Sometimes you want to hear, you fucked up. You haven't brought it to this level that you should. You've let yourself down. Like, you want to fucking hear that.
You need it, man.
You know?
You need someone to say, that wasn't good enough. Next time, try harder. Otherwise...
because when people say you're good enough and then you don't get the results as a result, like, you're just left being like, what the fuck?
What happened?
You don't even accept responsibility because you don't correlate it. You know, sometimes we need to hear, bro, you're not fucking good enough. You can be a lot better. Let's get to fucking work. You know what I mean? That's what I needed. That's why I relate heavily to Andy's shit a lot.
So you're also into like Greg Plitt a lot, and that's where I think me and you kind of be like on the same page, because I'm a big Greg.
If anyone's watching this and you're into Greg Plitt, we fuck with you. You know what I mean? we're saying this before. It's like, even now that I know that you've had a point where you've taken some value from Andy Frisella. If I talk to someone and I know that they listen to Andy Frisella, I'm like, I like you. Because I know that you know.
Definitely.
That wavelength. And if you
Greg Plitt was definitely one of those guys, and I mentioned to you before, where he done something in the fitness industry that I believe was never done, and since then has never been done. So I was telling you, I've seen some of your content coming up through the years, and the split second I knew that you were into Greg Plitt, I was like, there's a connection here for sure, because no one else, like, you spoke about Greg Plitt like he was like king, and not many people put him up on that pedestal. You know what I mean? Like, I noticed that, like, you don't see Steve Cooks talk about him that much.
No one really acknowledges him,
not at all. And like I said, I was a big Greg Plitt fan. So when you kind of like pushed him along on your socials, and you had photos where you'd met him, number one, I was jealous as fuck. Secondly, I was like, okay, me and this Freezma guy, we've got this thing in common that, like, I connect with you on that level. So talk to me about Greg Plitt. Like, how did he impact your life and stuff like that?
It's crazy because I haven't like thought about him directly and his impact in a long time. So it actually gets me thinking, you saying that. You've got those periods of your life where, like you were saying, there's that one period where you're listening to MFCEO for 2 years straight. Like, Greg Plitt for me was the guy when I was in New Zealand living on my own. I rented out an office space just maybe like 15 minutes down the road from my house. Because I didn't want to live at home. So like, I rented out an office space to run gymsties and to sleep in there so I could separate myself from my family, because I didn't like my family. I didn't like the person my family had me boxed in as, because they had always known me for this long, being this frail character to wanting to break out and be something new for myself. So I had to separate myself. But that kind of year of my life was really heavy into Greg Plitt, like in his members section and stuff. And, And I was like such an outcast. Like, people have shit going on a lot in New Zealand. It's a lot more by the book. Like, everyone does the set career paths and shit. I was a real outcast, But like that's good for me because people were like, oh shit, this guy's different. I attracted a lot of attention in a good way from that, but I also had like a lot of that energy around that was like, and that's what I liked. I could relate to Greg because I feel like he was almost that in the fitness industry.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't just the guy that was just looks good. He wanted to fucking pump you the fuck up.
Yeah.
Build you from nothing to something and say, hey, you can fucking do this. Go work hard. Like
for me,
you know,
Greg
like,
Plitt was like, he would, like, in a nutshell, he just put the message out there like, there's champions and there's losers, and you choose which one you want to be. If you're into my shit, we're all about being champions.
Yeah.
Doing the things that champions do and setting those habits and da-da-da, and we're not losers. If you want to be a loser and do all these things, don't watch. But this is for the people that want to better themselves, not just in the fitness arena, but in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Man, he taught me, you know, he encouraged through his videos for me to be a better man, a better person, a better father, a better brother, a better husband, whatever it was. I just felt like I wanted to be better after watching his stuff. It wasn't just gym, wasn't just getting muscles and fucking that's it. I feel like he really, I don't want to say redefined what I thought masculinity was. Well, he did in a way, because masculinity back then was just, dude, you've got to have a six pack and be a cool cunt, and that's it. But he taught me that masculinity was, you know, being, you know, having your values in place, having a path, having a goal, wanting to be a champion, wanting to better yourself. And to me, that kind of set the base.
And he was actually like in tune with his emotions, so you could feel.
Dude,
you couldn't just hear what he said.
You felt it, dude. There was videos in his members section where I felt like he was almost going to cry on the camera. And that was like powerful for me, you know what I mean? So that kind of shit. Like there was many times where I'd watch his stuff and would get emotional. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I relate to it.
One thing I liked about him, I went through a period of my life where and I still do all the time, like where I just feel like nothing means anything, and I'm like, I almost am like, what's the point? You know, when you're in that headspace, it's a very dangerous one. But one thing with Greg, he would challenge that and just be like,
have purpose.
There is a fucking point. Like you're a coward if you think there's no point to this shit. Man the fuck up. And know that your life means something and go for your you know what I'm saying? Like, and just
totally.
kind of brought that
man.
perspective of like, I'm just like, fuck, like, you know, just if you hear something like that, you're at a point you need to hear it. It's just kind of like, it can snap you out of
it's that
a bad path.
It's that.
You know?
It's I felt like I most connected with him when there was something I need to hear. Because I was at my life where I would ask those questions. Like, for me, the scariest question I ask myself, and this freaks me out and gives me really bad anxiety, is when I ask myself, what are you even doing this for? When I ask that to myself, whether I'm training or doing cardio or dieting or whatever, or doing something, and I say to myself, why am I doing this? And I can't answer it properly, my anxiety will spiral. So I felt like he, many times, said the right thing to me that I needed to hear at the right time. That kind of made me snap out of it. And go, no. You've got your goals. They're on the wall. Let's get back to doing that. You know what I mean? Do what needs to be done. And man, I wish he was here today, to be honest, man. Like, fucking, I would love to.
Shocking, like, what happens.
Oh, dude, it's too soon, man. Like, imagine where he'd be now. Like, he'd be, I don't know, what, like 43.
Because again, still it was like such an infancy state, the online fitness scene, right? Like, it was, I think, it was 2014 that he died, or 2015.
2015?
Like it was January 2015, right?
And he still, like, I feel like he still kind of revolutionized in a way, because he had this website that he was pushing, that was his website constantly. And he had that members section where you pay.
He's the first guy to monetize.
Right?
Very forward thinking.
Pay $5 and you get access to my videos.
You know, he was the first guy in the fitness industry to generate $1 million through a website.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, like I think he actually put those statistics out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
But dude, like no one was doing that at that time. Like pay $5 to get a VIP entry.
No one.
Watch on my video. Like what the fuck? Like no one was doing. Now, like that's been done all over the place. Like, you know what I mean?
It's just like a standard business model.
So where would he be now? Is the question. You know what I mean? Like how do you take it to the next step?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I definitely think, like Ziz, he was destined for something even greater than that. Because, like, with that type of drive that he had, like, the legacy couldn't just be a website and a few videos. He for sure would have been
like,
Hollywood,
it would have been so much bigger.
Hollywood or something like that. Like, definitely motivational speaking on a larger level. Because I could just picture him in front of crowds, thousands of people talking and just everyone getting jacked, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck yeah. So actually I was at uni at the time and I was training and I was I was always, again, from when I was 13, I was into building muscle and like doing that. So like, I was training, but I there wasn't like, I guess Arnold would be the guy I was looking at online. Arnold Schwarzenegger would be like the main guy.
Who's he? No, I'm fucking.
Yeah, I was like, Phil, do you not know?
Do you know Arnold?
I don't think anyone would not know who Arnold is though. But yeah, and then there's a point I just was training, and one of my mates from school, he would casually train with me and my other mate. And he was like, oh, do you know who Ziz is? And I'm like, what the fuck? No, I don't know who Ziz is. And then he's like, yeah, well, it was crazy. He was actually, man, he's this dude. He kind of showed me, he's like, he actually died a few weeks ago, and you know.
Oh, wait, you never heard about Ziz until
I didn't know until
away.
he passed away, man.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy, right?
I did not know that, dude.
I feel like, because I've seen so many vids, and after his death, I watched all the content, which seemed like he was alive. Almost like, you know, watching his content,
yeah.
you know, a few months after his pass, like I felt like I was watching him at the time and shit.
Yeah.
Like watching, yeah, bro, it's crazy. But I found out a bit about him after he passed, and like, I was just like, dude, this guy, I'll tell you what I liked about Ziz, did not care what people thought. Like he could literally go walk in his undies in public and not give a fuck.
He's
Like,
done that a few times.
and for me in New Zealand, I had such a heavy burden of, oh, what does this person think about me?
Yeah.
Like I was really in that it inspired me for the first time to be like, yeah, like fuck that shit. Like who gives a fuck? Now, like it's very popular online. Like don't care what others think about you if they're talking about they're below you, or like no one doing better than someone's, you know, talking down on them. Like we get a lot of that now, but like back then there was not a crickets.
Yeah.
Fucking, there's crickets about it. You know, like you'd never hear something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what I liked about this, and then obviously his physique is the first shredded
aesthetic.
You know, you see guys with abs, but like you'd never see
the perfect kind of
this kind of like literally like a Greek god's version, but like modern.
Yeah.
Not like Frank Zane or something like that. It's like some dude with this like sick
with
fucking arms,
the hair and
the
stuff.
hair, like, and then just like that one.
Yeah.
And I remember just seeing that and being like, I've built some muscle. Like I want to look like that. But where's my abs? You know what I mean? Like,
but can you imagine? Because I saw the first photo I saw of him.
Yeah.
I saw his photo, and what you just said, I was like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
Like how many guys on earth seen these photos and I want to look like that?
Yeah.
Like there was no, maybe, too much. It was the fucking,
like,
I want to look like that.
That's what I think, because obviously we've seen shredded bodybuilders and shit.
Yeah, it's nothing
and
new.
conditioning wise, like fuck, those guys get shredded.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many people will make you go, I want to look like that. It was like, so you're right, which you saying that as well makes me think his aesthetics were just, the balance of his physique was just perfect.
Yeah.
Not too big, and not, like he was like right in that point. Like it's funny now, like I've talked to bodybuilder mates and stuff now, and they're like, oh, I remember when we used to think Ziz had the perfect physique, because in their eyes they're now like bodybuilders and they build build the big chest, and I still think Ziz had the perfect physique. I don't think, his physique's got weakness in this point and this. No. I'm like, no, that is still perfect.
Leave it
like,
as
that's
is.
the spot. That's the
And that's crazy, because I feel like even till this day, how do you? There can be other physiques. Like you've got your Jeff Sage, your John Skywalkers, and these guys are popping up, and like total respect to them. They've been amazing physiques.
They're just popping up.
They're like mushrooms.
No,
like you
squash
like one and there's another 5. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying,
they've been around for a little while, but like they were popping up. Like because you got to remember, there's people watching this. They're like new in the scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but there was a point where like Jeff was real on that cusp, and John Skywalker and stuff. Like now they're like established. They're pretty much like older dudes in the industry now.
That makes me feel so fucking old.
It's weird though, eh? Like I saw these new little Gymshark kids popping up and shit.
But what I'm saying is like, there's no other physique that, I mean, how many other physiques are there that have come out where you know that there's just a bunch of young dudes that look at and go, I want to look like that.
Yeah, it's not many.
Like, I'm sure Jeff has,
Jeff
and
had
John
that.
has.
Jeff had that, yeah, for sure.
I definitely think John has that, but like, I feel like Ziz was the first.
Yeah, he was.
Definitely the first. Like, that was just a big
There's
wave.
no one else, yeah.
And how can, while we're on the topic, like how, and I might be biased because he's very special and very close to me, but like, tell me one person where, they died at the age of 22, but left such a legacy that 10 years later, they're still being spoken about. because to me, I just feel like the content it's almost like he created evergreen content without even knowing it, because he created all these content, and then 10 years and it inspired a bunch of young dudes that wanted to be like that. 10 years later, his content is still doing the rounds on YouTube and social media, and he's got the next generation of young dudes coming in, watching it, saying, hey, I just found out about Ziz and I'm 14.
Yeah, I've heard this has started happening a lot more recently.
Is that not a mindfuck?
It's
There's
crazy,
like 15-year-olds messaging me on Instagram saying, hey man, I'm 15, I just saw all these Ziz videos and you're one of his friends and I just want to get... I was like, dude, you're 15. You were 5 when he passed away.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? How?
Crazy,
wow. Like that's to me, and this sounds cheesy, but honest man, that is the definition of a legacy. You go, but your shit just keeps getting you, like people are still getting inspired by your shit.
That's pretty cool though.
That's pretty cool, man.
I like that. I was just seeing on like TikTok, he started doing the rounds. Like,
get the fuck out.
He's kind of been trending a bit on TikTok. Yeah, I've seen with all the younger kids. Yeah, because I'm like fucking detached from these like 18, 19-year-old lifters in the gym now. But like, I was talking to one the other day, and he was like, oh yeah, like fucking talking to me about Ziz and shit. I'm like, how do you even like know about Ziz? He's like, they started getting popular on TikTok and stuff again. Like,
dude, how the fuck? Okay, that just adds to the legacy. Like, you die, 10 years later, an app that wasn't nowhere near around when you were around pops up, and somehow you're trending on that.
Dude, do you know what I seen? You know in that vid. I don't know if it was a fake TikTok or if it was a troll. I'm pretty sure it was legit, but you know, was it in the Legacy or whatever? No, it was on that road trip that Ziz did.
Yeah.
And he's like bicep curling a kid.
Yeah.
This kid, the kid that was like this 10-year-old kid. I'm not kidding.
He's like 40 now. He's my age, fuck.
No, but legit, he's like 20 something now, and he's like, I was that kid.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Like, and he's got the vid playing in the background on TikTok.
That's
just
so
like,
cool. He's trying to bite the fame.
I'm like, was that actually you, bro? Was that actually you? Because that's a big fucking clout chase.
It is, man. That's cool.
Him, but